am Gabriella, lover of travel, wines, and all things fancy and beautiful.
I'm Nicholas, otherwise known as Nick International. I'm an avid wine and champagne lover and a world traveler, and you're watching The Sip.
Each episode here on The Sip, we will be talking about all things wine and pairing wines with local dishes prepared by local chefs. This episode, we'll be joined by Chef Marissa Just Mo Glinton. She's going to be chefing up 2 delicious pork dishes for us to pair with these fabulous red wines.
With Chef Mo's excellent dishes today, we're going to be pairing the Mullen Road Estates Red Blend, and we're going to be pairing the Foley Estates 2018 Pinot Noir. While we wait for that, Gabby and I are sitting here sipping the Bouvet Brut. I prefer a Brut to a Rosé.
I love a rosé.
My illustrious co-host prefers a Rosé to a Brut.
Before we get into that, I think we should play a game to get to know each other better. So I have a board and a list of questions about you.
Likewise, I have some questions about you.
So I think we should ask each other these questions, write them on the board. Whoever gets the answer wrong has to take a sip.
Whew, all right.
The
Let's
game
do
is
it.
called Sip or Spill.
What is Gabby's favorite city?
Oh,
Paris.
yes, Paris. I lived in Paris for a few years, and they have the best wine, the best food, the best everything, except for Eleuthera. Where is Nick's favorite place to visit?
Go for it.
London.
Take
Well,
a drink.
first I said the fish fry, and then I said London.
The fish fry?
I-
You ever
No?
seen me at the fish fry, Gabby?
I mean, I don't want to call you out, but
Nah, take a drink.
okay.
My favorite destination is actually South Africa. I like the Constantia Valley. It's wine, it's champagne, it's mountains.
I told you about the
All things that I
Constantia
love.
Valley, by the way.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
What is Gabby's favorite type of wine?
Oh, easy. Super easy.
All right, ready?
Ready?
I put Pinot Grigio.
Ah.
I thought you didn't like. What did you write?
What, ka-
Slow wine was a close second.
what is so... Okay.
What was the right answer?
Rosé.
Really? Ah,
Duh.
okay. Fair. Explains what you're drinking. Bouvet Rosé in the
I know.
glass.
I'm actually a big fan of this Bouvet Rosé, which is also a co-brand wine, by the way.
Well, for me, the rosé is nice, but I really enjoy the Bouvet Brut the most.
Okay. What is Nick's favorite food? Ready?
Boom. I'm afraid of what the... No, definitely a ribeye steak. I'm a natural carnivore, sorry, but I will choose a ribeye steak over most other things to eat, but I have this real issue with people that eat steaks beyond medium rare. You lose all the good flavor, all the good juices, and it just doesn't taste the same.
You're such a snob.
Nothing wrong with that. I like what I like.
All right, so I definitely need to take a sip, right?
That you do.
All right. Cheers. Thank you for
darling.
playing. I think that was super fun. But now let's jump to our resident wine expert at Caribbean Wines and Spirits, Mr. Christopher Duncombe, to learn a little bit more about why wine and cheese are so delicious together.
Hi, Nick and Gabby. Yes, let's talk about why wine and cheese pairs well together, okay? So usually when you eat cheese, you're going to get the creaminess, the butterfat from the cheese, and what that does, it blocks the taste receptors on your tongue in particular. What happens is when you pair the two together, the acidity and the flavor of wines tend to break through that barrier, and the two marry so well together. And so one of the things that you may have seen in restaurants or maybe on television shows or whatever, you would have seen people take a cork, like I have here in my hand, and there are all types of different corks. We have the synthetic cork and we have the all-natural cork. And usually people would smell the cork. The cork, back in the early 1800s, they used it to identify the wine that you're actually drinking. A lot of people don't know that. That's where it originated. Because what happened is there were times they would put the wine in ice, and usually the label would start to peel. It will, you won't be able to read the label or whatever. So when that happens, you can always say, well, let me look at the cork. And if you notice our wines today, you're going to see the name of the winery on the cork. And that's really the reason why that imprint on the cork exists. Let's talk about the wines we're featuring today. We have a Foley Estate Pinot Noir, and we have a Mullen Road Red Blend by Dennis Cakebread, the maker of Cakebread wines. this Foley Estate Pinot Noir. I would say that it's an introductory level, especially to a lot of people who tend to shy away from red wines. As we know, the Pinot Noir is on a lighter scale of red wines, so it's not as heavy as necessarily a Merlot or a Cabernet, but it's something that you can enjoy. It's light, it's a bit fruit forward, and so this wine is going to pair very well with cheeses, with porks. This can even go with a nice seafood dish as well. But this Foley Estate Pinot Noir is very, very good. It's excellent. It has fruit forward, the raspberry notes, the chocolate notes, and there's even some minerality in there that you're going to pick up that will be very well with pulled pork or any spicy dish even coming off the grill. Maybe some ribs or some jerk pork or anything like that will work very well with this Foley Estate Pinot Noir. So let's talk about the Mullen Road Red Blend. So this Mullen Road Red Blend is made up of 51% Cabernet Sauvignon, 20% Merlot, 20% Malbec. It also has some Pinot Noir in there, and it also has some Cab Franc in there, okay? This is a really great red blend, simply because you have that nice balance. For me, I prefer a very bold, a very robust Cabernet Sauvignon, but I know there are a lot of wine drinkers out there who don't like the heavy body and the weight and the dry tannins of a Cabernet. So I would love to introduce them to this Mullen Road Red Blend, because what happens is in this blend, the Cabernet Sauvignon tends to mellow out with the mixture of the other varietals that's in this wine. So I would really introduce this Mullen Road Red Blend to anybody out there who wants to, you're not quite ready to go to a Cabernet Sauvignon. You're sort of between a Pinot Noir and a Merlot, and you want to take that next step. This is a perfect blend for you. Mullen Road Red Blend, and it's by Dennis Cakebread, the maker of Cakebread Wines, which is a very iconic, world-renowned wine. So this red blend will pair with anything herbal, anything roasted. I mean, it is really a well-balanced red blend, and I really think new wine drinkers would enjoy being introduced to a nice red blend that is mostly Cabernet Sauvignon, but it won't be as heavy as a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Man, we got to thank Chris. That was pretty informative, actually.
It was.
In particular, I didn't know the whole history behind wine corks and putting the vintage labels on the inside.
No idea.
I thought it was just one of those things, you go into a fancy restaurant, you want to show off, so you just, this smells lovely. It lets you know your wine is authentic, so you know where it comes from. You got the bottle that you ordered, which is, good to know.
Yeah.
Next time I go in a restaurant now, I can up my wine clout a little bit.
Well, while you do that, let's jump into the kitchen with Chef Mo, and we'll be right back after this break.
Once I had a gal, she called me Phil. Left me in the cold and pouring rain. So I decided to put her down. I took a trip to Cowboy Town.
So we are in the kitchen with Chef Mo, and she is going to whip up something delicious for us. What do you have for us today?
That's right. Well, our featured meat in this project today is going to be pork. I love pork. I don't know about you, but I can eat it at all points in time. I like to call this 2 ways to pull a pig. All right. So essentially what we're going to do is 2 dishes, pork centered with a little different flavor balance. The first one's going to be a jerk pork wonton. That's going to go with a sweet chili sauce, a little scallion. And then, of course, the second one is going to be that tostada with our avocado kind of toast kind of cream base. We got a little apple and cabbage slaw here. Lots of good flavor profiles that kind of come together and marry well. And I think are going to play really nicely with our wines. So the process that you don't see here, if you can look in this bowl, this is where we have our pulled pork. This we are going to actually incorporate with our jerk. So I like to do things where it's easy to find the ingredients and use them multiple times. And I also like to make it easy enough for you to just buy it, put it together, and recreate it yourself. So this is just a jerk paste that you can kind of buy in the food store, in the condiment aisle, to apply to your pork once it's already been pulled or before. But since we're using it 2 ways, I decided to leave this to put onto the side, all right? So we're gonna add a little bit of our jerk seasoning here to this. Now you can add as much as little as you want. Depends on how spicy you want it. You can get a mild jerk, you can get a hot jerk, and of course you can always add something like crushed red pepper or sriracha or something if you want to zhuzh it up just a little bit. As far as our wonton skins go, what we have right here, I actually always have people asking me where do I get my skins, where do I get my wrappers, things like that, and I actually found these really easily at Meat Max.
Oh, yeah.
Carmichael Road.
Know it well.
Yeah.
Shout out to Meat Max.
Me too. Shout out to Meat Max. Y'all a plug. I also got my sauce elements there as well. Sweet chili sauce, a little sriracha, a little soy. All right, so once we have that really nice and incorporated, there's an egg in a bowl there. We're just gonna make a little bit of that beat that a little bit just to seal our wontons up.
As in, I must beat the egg?
Yeah. Come on, let's go. That's right, and this is something like you can make together. I love appetizers and wine and nights like that where you kind of just have bites, you sit around the kitchen table or the island or whatever else, and you just kind of talk and bite and, you know.
It's the best part of cooking.
Hey,
Come here.
he said he was going in, to be fair. So pretty much this is our build. Simple as that. So we already had our pork pre-done. We add a little bit of that jerk. Again, you can make that as spicy as you want to. And then now we're just gonna kind of go and start putting our filling in. This is just something to help us seal the wonton around the edges, just so that when we drop them, we know that they're not gonna open up and lose all our filling. Alrighty. So now we're just gonna take a little bit of our filling here. All right. Put that in the center of each of our skins. I don't want to put too much so we can close them. I'm just going to take a little bit of these scallions. Just make sure we get a little bit of bite in there. Alrighty. Cool. And then again, I'm just going to go in with this. Let me use a spoon, I think. And we're just going around the edges. You don't need a lot of it. Again, it's just enough so that when you fold it over and you make contact, it's going to seal. All right, so you just want to kind of tuck and roll and make sure those edges meet. And then we're just kind of pressing it and pinching them down. All righty. Oh, on the stove top we just have some oil that we had come up to frying temperature. You don't want it too high because you don't want these to get brown too quickly. Because when they get dark and they start to toast, it changes the flavor just a little bit. So you want to make sure once you get the oil to temp, you can kind of bring it down a little bit and just make sure it's around medium on your stove top, so it can get crispy. And it still has to be hot enough so the oil doesn't seep in and make everything soggy, okay? So we are going to drop these into our oil. They should just kind of, start doing their thing. And so they're going to immediately start to kind of come together and float. We want them to cook evenly. And again, look, they're floating already. They're getting that nice crispy kind of coating on them.
How long do they take to fry?
And that's the thing, because everything inside is already cooked, you're really just waiting for the outside to get crispy. You're just waiting for it to get like a little golden color. So maybe about, at this temperature, I'd say maybe about a minute, 2 minutes. All right, so our sauce is a sweet chili sriracha sauce, right? So if you're not familiar with sweet chili, it's like manna from heaven. Like you can eat it on a shoe, it's delicious. It's sort of like duck sauce, a little sweeter, a darker red. And it really is nice with kind of blending out some of the spicier or earthier notes from the jerk. I just think it's a good compliment. And again, it's just delicious with anything in this wrapper, right? Okay, so like I said, we didn't want these to get too dark. We can see now they've gotten nice and golden. We're just gonna land these here. All right, just to drip some of that oil. I'm also gonna turn our oil back down. You don't wanna burn your oil because it is gonna change the flavor of everything, all right? And again, this isn't a complicated recipe, but it always, kind of wows. And I think for the intents and purposes of this, I'm just gonna pour some in our little dish here so they don't get soggy.
Gabby, I don't know if I'm sharing these wontons.
I was going to say, I don't think she made enough.
And then we just take some of these scallions here, and we just want to, make it a little cute. All right, and there you have it. These are our jerk pulled pork wontons.
That is beautiful.
Just like that. All right, then since we still have our oil here, and it's still kind of up, I'm turning it right back up then, we are going to do our tostadas. So essentially what this is like a wonton cracker, if you will. So we're gonna fry them as is, all right? We're gonna try to keep them as round as possible. All right. So already, you can see they're crisping up. All right, that one's getting nice and golden. All right, you just have to turn them a little bit just so they don't fold up on themselves. Looks like 4 is the magic number, so, we'll start with that. What's gonna go on this tostada, we're gonna have some avocado mash type thing, like a, if you like avocado toast, same elements, the same concept. And then what we have is an apple and cabbage slaw that we're gonna put a little bit on top. I don't know if you know, but pork and apples, I mean,
Winning combination.
you really can't lose. To also as well cabbage. So I just shredded up some purple cabbage and some like apple slithers that we have here. I'm just gonna hit that with a little bit of sugar and the apple cider vinegar just to get this to kind of wilt. Let's check on these. All right, that looks good. Oh yeah. And then of course now we have a little bit of sugar. Can't have a good slow that, just a touch of sugar.
Okay.
All right, just a little bit here. All right. That's also gonna start to break down some of the crunchier elements. And then just, pinch of salt is always about balance. Now we are going to make our
Got it.
guac or our avocado. Now I sliced this up earlier, and what I did, I just squeezed some lime over it, just so it
Okay.
didn't start to turn
Does that help?
brown. Yeah, it
Okay.
helps to slow down the browning process because
Didn't
this has
know
now
that.
been cutting out for like over an hour.
Oh, that's
And, generally it only takes a second.
The avocado looks nice and ripe.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I'm so excited. I'm gonna put a little bit of salt. I already had some lime in there, but I'm gonna add a little bit more. I like a nice little tang to my, And then we're just gonna put like a rough mash on this, all right? So we don't want it to be mush, but we definitely want it to be smooth enough to kind of smear onto the wonton without it breaking. Smear, you like that? Smear. It's my New York. It's the New York in me. Simple, but delicious elements. I love the fatty balance and the creaminess of avocado with the acidity of the slaw. But so the entire pork shoulder or butt would have been in here, and as you can see, it just broke down. The bone just pulled right out. It's just mana.
You must know why you did that.
You just been back here picking all that straight through, right? Okay, so we're going to pull this again. But this time, we're not going to add anything to it. It was roasted and seasoned. It should be really nice. You can see it's still nice and moist. I put a little more of the darker parts in this one and mixed it with some of the lighter parts of the meat just to kind of balance out some of the flavors, play with the fat in the avocado, also the natural fats that come in the pork itself from that fat cap that we did not take off the top, so that we can keep all that flavor, okay?
That's a serious finger. Do
I
not
just-
take the fat cap off.
Do not. You're going to offend me. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put our avocado right on there like that. And of course, remember, these are still pretty delicate. So you don't wanna, beat them up or you'll be making these all day. Put as much or as little as you want. Personally, I love them. Okay, so that's that. Now we're just gonna take our pork, all right? And we're gonna kind of like nestle that onto our avocado. Alrighty, so that is our base. Now, I'm gonna go back in with a little bit of our slaw here, which is just starting to soften a little bit. But again, I love texture. I always like to balance all the different elements. So now we have the bottom that's crunchy, but we have now a lot of like soft on top. So now we gotta put some more crunch on there, all right? And this is where we get our slaw that we're just gonna stick on top here,
Oh, this just looks like love.
right? Make sure you got some apple pieces in there too, so you can get some of that little sweet element. Okay, and now just before we kind of top those off, all right, if you give me those two other squeeze bottles there behind you now. All right, so this is our garlic aioli. So essentially what we did here was that gas was, I was made from down deep. What we did here was you can mince up, or you can blend it if it's easier, but you're gonna mince up really fine some garlic. Gonna mix it into some mayo, a little bit of lime juice, a little salt and pepper. Don't get caught up in the fancy names. Aioli is literally flavored mayo. Like, don't let them freak you out. all right?
Aioli sounds better though.
It does, of course it does, of course it does. It's fancy. If somebody comes over and be like, oh, I made an aioli, yeah. All right, so this is a garlic aioli. And this is a barbecue sriracha. Now, again, you can just take your favorite barbecue sauce and add sriracha. I tend to like to make my barbecue sauce, but I would have done that ahead of time, and I just keep that in my fridge, all right? So we're just gonna do a little garnishing now with these, okay? kind of pull some other flavors in there. Well, for this purpose right here, let's just do one of these. Yeah, let's just do one of those. Alrighty. Now we have the whites of the scallions. I used the darker parts of the scallions earlier for that, but these have a little more pungency, a little more bite as you get closer down to the bulb. I always like to kind of put these on for, if not, why not? I just like the little nuttiness that like the sesame seeds kind of give to it. Boom, there you have it. Those are our pulled pork tostadas with our sriracha barbecue, our garlic aioli, our apple cabbage slaw, and our green onions.
I feel like I'm alive, girl. Are you a player living in the world? Quit dissing me, singing just like Overjoy. Moving like a super freak.
All right, well, welcome back. This is certainly my favorite part of the segment. Finally, we get to taste the wines and we get to eat these wontons and these tostadas that Chef Mo prepared. I think we're going to start with the Pinot Noir, so I will hand out one for my lovely co-host.
Thank you.
One for Chef, because you know you got to cook and you got to drink.
Thank you.
And then the last one for me. Just here for the wine. All right, well, go ahead and take a little sip.
All right.
What you got?
I will say, I'm not a red wine drinker. I love rosé and champagne bubbles, but I can easily drink a glass of this. This is very light, very pleasing. I can't wait to see how it pairs with the delicious dishes Chef Mo made for us.
Yeah, I think the flavors on this wine, you get a little bit of vanilla, or at least I get a little bit of vanilla. Again, the dark berries really come through. Maybe a little bit of strawberry even. But you know, don't leave it all to me. What are you picking up, Chef?
I'm gonna have to go with Gabrielle in this one. I'm not a red drinker. I could drink this.
Yeah.
And I'm picking up a lot of those berry notes as well. And I think with that little hint of spice and the earthiness from the jerk, I think we're gonna have a nice little balance of the flavors with this.
Yeah, I
I
think
really
so
like
too.
this a lot, actually.
I'm really excited to get to the food tasting part, so I'll let Gabby
I'm
jump
excited for
right
you guys
in
to
there.
taste.
Oh, is it time? Is it time? Okay. Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead, grab a one.
Dive on in.
Excuse me. I've been waiting all day for this.
Come on in.
Come in and dip in the sauce.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Get on in there.
All right. I'm gonna try not to spill.
I shall also jump in here.
That is amazing.
Is double dipping allowed, or is that?
There's-
I mean, it's all, hey, we're all good here.
And
What do
it's
you
true.
think? What do you think?
Oh, this is amazing. So
You ain't looking.
yummy.
You ain't looking for a roommate. Eh?
I mean, listen, in these in these trying times.
But it's true that pork should pair very well with this.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree, especially with the spice profile.
I'm suffering from that whole chef complex of I just cooked and I feel like I ate.
Yeah.
So
It
that's the only
happens.
reason I'm not eating. I'm not like tricking them. I just want you to know.
Pinot Noir and jerk pork wontons. I think you might be onto something
something,
new.
right?
Yeah. Definitely onto
All
something.
right, score one.
Indeed.
Palate cleanse, always important, folks. Of course, particularly when you're going from very strong profile wines to kind of have some water or something. Ginger is also something that's very good for neutralizing the palate as you move between stronger blends in particular.
Okay, so we'll move on. You'll notice this wine has been sitting in a decanter. Pinot Noirs don't really require a decanter because they're quite light. But for something as full-bodied as this Cabernet blend, you're going to want it to sit in a decanter for about 40 minutes for two reasons. One, you want all the sediments that might be in the bottle to fall to the bottom. So when you pour, you just get a nice smooth pour, no little itsy bits, from the bottom of the cork in there. And then oxygen adds different texture, different flavor to the wine. Lets it breathe. Things get metabolized and all those fancy scientific words, and then boom, like the wine just, every minute you leave it to breathe, it starts to taste even more different.
Definitely a little more earthy than the first one.
Right? It's much heavier. It almost smells more organic. You can't,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if you ever smelled dirt, but you might get a little bit of that
Little bit,
super
little bit, yep,
earthiness
yep.
from it.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and give it a taste.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, you guys ready to try your tostados?
Yes.
I certainly am.
All right, let's pull them closer for you, because
I don't want to drop them.
there's a lot going on there. Yeah, just hold the plate close to the chin. You know, that's all I can. May the odds be ever in your favor.
I don't want to drop them.
All right, try to get a little bit of everything in each bite.
Wait. Oh.
Is it good weight?
Excuse me. It's too good.
Get in there. Get
Too
in there.
yummy.
There's really no sensible way to eat this on camera. I don't know if there's stuff on my face now.
No, you're good. You're good.
That is.
How are those different flavors coming together?
They're really working
Perfectly.
together
Yeah.
very well. The avocado, for some reason, is really shining.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yummy.
Good. It's that perfect native pear. Gotta pick it right. I'm telling you.
Okay, so we've tasted the Foley Pinot Noir. We've had the Mullen Road Cellars Cabernet Blend, or Red Blend, I should say. Which one is the fan favorite?
It's tough, I will say. I think I'm gonna go with the Foley. Maybe
feeling.
it's more, and I think it's more introductory for someone who is not a red wine drinker, but it's so easy to drink that I think if I'm gonna finish the whole glass, I'm gonna finish 2 glasses, I'm gonna go with the Foley. What about you?
I think I'll also choose the Foley. While I like a good Cabernet blend, and this red blend is excellent, I think there's a flavor profile in that Pinot Noir that's just something new for me. I like the dark berries in it, so I think I'm gonna go with that as well. That's my favorite.
I'm right there with you. I think the Foley is definitely my choice. I like that it is, again, for me, not a red drinker. It feels very approachable, and it feels like it can probably pair really nicely with quite a few things. So for me as a chef, I'm already thinking about what else I can put with this wine. Yeah,
Cheers to that indeed. And
we
thanks
go.
so much, Chef Mo. We enjoyed the wontons, the tostadas. I'm about to pull up on your doorstep and come for wontons tomorrow.
Small thing, no problem, no problem. Set alarm.
All right, well, I definitely would like to thank Co-Brand Wines and Spirits for sponsoring this video. To find out more information on these wines, please visit Caribbean Wines and Spirits webpage at www.cwsbahamas.com. See you next time here on The Sip.
Cheers.